buddy. Oh man.
Yeah, I'm trying to match your vibe here.
What layers?
Doing some layering.
Dude, I look fat.
No, you don't.
I feel like
not with the layers. They do say the camera adds 10 pounds. That's what I always hang my hat on. I'm not fat. It's the camera.
Yeah, the camera.
Are you allowed to say fat anymore, or is that like
you're probably not?
Shaming?
Well, it's the Trump era, so I think you're allowed to say kind of anything at this point. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna apologize from the beginning here. If you heard me laugh there, it sounds like I've been smoking for about 30 years.
Dude, this guy Anthony, you've been sick forever this winter.
Well, the problem is I've been more sick since I've had kids than ever in my life.
Right, because they're like little germ.
These kids are like petri dishes.
Yeah,
and you know they're going to school and then they're interacting with other petri dishes.
Yeah,
and some of those petri dishes, they'll go to the bathroom and won't wash their hands.
Yeah. Go birds.
Go birds. I actually am cheering for the birds.
Yeah, you have to.
But anyway, so these petri dishes that we call children, they go to school. They
spit on each other.
They pick up all kinds of stuff. They go to the bathroom without washing their hands.
You're a big germaphobe.
Pick their nose.
You're a big giant germaphobe.
I am a germaphobe.
Dude, when we went out to eat the other night, you right before dinner.
Yes.
You literally like, Lauren, give me some sanitizer. And you're like squirt, and you rubbed your hands. I was like, come on, dude.
I either have to wash my hands or do some hand sanitizer before I eat. Because think about the menus.
They're nasty, dude. I get
it's
it.
Disgusting.
But germs is what gives us the ability to fight them. Like if you're germ free and then you get a germ, you're done. But if your body's like constantly fighting, I'm not a doctor, but like this is the way I think.
No, your body does get accustomed to fighting off germs.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why kids should play in the dirt. Like
I should just embrace it.
I think you should embrace it.
I should.
I think you'd be less sick. I mean, when was the last time anybody's heard me snotting and sore throating?
You were just sick several months ago. Sick as a dog.
I don't remember this. What are you talking about?
Your whole family got wiped out.
Yeah, not me.
Yeah, you were sick. You were down. I think you even took some days off work. Yes, 100%.
Anthony, I haven't taken a day off of work since COVID. When I abused the policy. I literally called my boss and I'm like, hey, I can't taste or smell. I feel great. He's like, you can't come to work. I go, I'm fine. I go, if you're telling me I can't come in, then I won't come in, but I feel 100% fine.
COVID was the greatest just fleecing of America.
Dude,
ever.
They paid us for like a week off. Yeah. They literally were like, don't come to work. We'll have a skeleton crew. You get a week off every like 4 weeks because it cycled through like all the guys I worked with.
I was
like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
So terrified that that the entire department would get COVID that they would take whole groups of guys, give them 2 weeks off. I got 2 weeks off paid.
Yeah.
So that I would be protected from the other COVID carriers that were possibly walking around at work. And in case a whole shift got knocked out, then they had a group of people at home.
When you say knocked out, you mean they got the cold.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you had a group of people who weren't at work who could come in and fill in.
It was unreal.
It was unreal. I got 2 weeks of basically paid vacation.
It was so dumb, dude. I wish I was a small business owner back then. Because they were giving out like small business loans like it was
candy.
Yeah.
There was
Skittles,
so much money.
Dude.
But at the same time,
that was Trump, dude. Like in reality, that was Trump. I think that was a huge mistake.
Right,
handing out all that money. Like,
oh yeah. Well, and there was a lot of mistakes made. I mean, but the keeping low.
Why are we talking about
keeping these giant corporations open?
Oh, are we going to do this the entire time?
Unfortunately, people are going to have to deal with it.
Yeah,
but keeping these giant stores open and then shutting down the mom and pops.
Dude, they crushed.
Can't go to church, but you could go to a strip club.
You could go protest and you could fight the cops. Yeah, exactly.
That was my moment. The moment
I know, Anthony. I was there. I was there.
Happened,
I was there with you.
And I saw all these politicians marching with people, and all of a sudden COVID didn't matter if you were like involved in a social justice movement. I was like, I am done with COVID. This is dumb.
Yeah, that was brutal, dude. And that was real early on too. Like that was
real early on because I was taking it. Everyone was taking it serious.
I mean, I did not, but
okay. I was taking it serious. I was like, when I say taking it serious, I told Lauren, like, hey, I'm going to get sick.
Right.
Like, it's just a matter of time. Do I get sick? So, why don't we just, if that happens, I'll use the spare room. We'll dedicate one bathroom in the house to me, and then everyone else, like, so we just had like a plan in place. But then we quickly started realizing,
dude, Chris and I just made out constantly.
Well, yeah, I don't think I ever got it. Well, maybe I did. I never tested.
Dude, I
don't know.
Why are we talking about this?
I don't know, because COVID.
Because the birds are
one of those things.
I know, dude. It's
you
like
still talk about.
It's like World War II, or it's not 9/11.
I mean, you look back,
which is crazy to think about.
You look back on some of the stuff that was going on. Mm-hmm. Like, who is the mayor who's like eating a cheeseburger, trying to convince people to go get jabbed with a vaccine that no one knows anything about, and you'll get a free burger and French fries. And he's on TV eating French fries and burger.
Dude, like, it was brutal.
I mean, what is going on?
It was a brutal time.
But yeah. So we're
now we gotta worry about the bird flu, right?
The bird flu, I guess.
I think they were
talking to me about the bird flu.
They were trying to stress us out about that.
From, hey,
dude, eggs are expensive.
You can get killed walking your doggy. It's a famous quote from Heat, greatest movie ever made. You can get killed walking your doggy. So I don't know. So maybe I should adopt that when it comes to germs. Is that what you're saying? Because I am a little bit of a germaphobe. Maybe I should just be a little looser with it.
That's my opinion, but you be you.
Not like
I'm surprised you didn't put it on right before like we started recording, even though we're not going to touch at all. Like you and I aren't going to like physically touch.
It's not about me touching people. It's about things that carry germs, like phones, menus. Like that stuff creeps me out. Money, yes.
Nobody uses cash anymore, but
but money, like that sort of thing.
Yeah. Door handles.
Even my cell phone, I'll clean that after a shift at work because I'm dealing with people and I'm touching my phone.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Dude, we just cleaned the lens of our high speed video cameras.
Here's the funniest germ inducing thing I ever did.
Tell me.
I'm on a call. We're in this disgusting apartment. I mean, it's nasty.
Dude, people don't. If you're not a cop, like you don't understand what a dirty house is. Like we say, oh, that house is dirty. No.
Yeah, my wife's like, this house needs clean. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's disgusting. The smells, the dirt, the grime, the pets. And this guy, I think he had like open sores on him. Ooh. And it was like a mental health call and that sort of thing. And at one point during the interaction, I think I had to talk. I think he was on the phone with crisis.
Yeah.
With behavioral health crisis intervention. Right. And I had to talk to him. So he gives me his phone. Ooh. And I'm like, I take the phone and I talk in it. I use it. Yeah. So my partner at the time knew I was a germaphobe. And he's just standing there looking. He knows.
Was this in the city?
Oh yeah. Okay. He knows I'm like freaking out with the germ levels here. So we get back out to the car, and he does not say anything. The first thing I do is I get hand sanitizer, put it on my hand, and wipe it on my ear because I'm like, there is no way.
That's so funny.
I was like, I gotta get. Ugh.
Can you get sick from germs in your ear? Well, I guess
I'm sure
you get
an ear infection from or something.
I don't know, dude.
So I apologize. I'm probably going to be coughing a little bit. I sound a little raspy. Yeah. I'm probably going to be sniffing a little bit.
Yeah. You not doing like this is Low Expectations episode number 3?
Yeah, we can do this. We can do it.
I mean, we're 15 minutes into this show already. We've talked about 0 things.
It's season 2, episode 3. Deal with it.
Yeah, Anthony, it's good to see you, dude.
Great to see you, Gary. I'm pretty pumped up for this episode. Anytime an officer being wrongfully accused pops onto my radar and we get a chance to bring it to light, like this case is not getting
brutal.
It's not getting hardly any any press. In New Mexico, where it happened in Las Cruces, it is, but it's not getting any national press. And I don't know.
You get pumped.
I get
worked
pumped
up.
to talk about cases like that. But before we get into that, we're also going to talk about Punxsutawney Phil.
Oh, the groundhog.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll talk about him at the end.
At the end.
I'm canceling him. We need to defund him. That's what I'm saying.
Why?
I'll explain.
Okay. All right.
I'll explain. I did a little digging. Okay. Punxsutawney Phil doesn't know what he's talking about. And if you don't know who Phil is, Punxsutawney Phil from PA, we're going to tell you. You're going to be amazed.
It's one of the great things about Pennsylvania.
Yeah, great.
Oh my goodness. This is going to be a long episode.
So, anyways.
Hey, let me ask you something. Why do you post just audio on YouTube?
I don't.
It's up there. There's always one.
There's an audio and a video.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know.
Nobody goes to YouTube to listen.
I think someone told me one time you should do that. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Hey,
I don't know.
The boss, dude.
So you think I should just throw the video up? Yeah. You're right, I guess. But some people, the audio gets a lot of listens. Gets a lot of
on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe I'll change.
Well, don't, dude. If we're getting listens, like, who cares?
I don't know. Some people just like the audio.
We do this for the likes, man. That's why we do this.
Yeah. Subscribe on YouTube. We've gotten a little. We got a couple more subscribers on YouTube. We got another person signed up on the Patreon.
Yeah, I mean, dude, our comments are not great. I'm just going to be honest.
Do better with your comments, people.
Do better. It's not hard. Comment. Like go Birds. Like
go. Why are we talking about the Eagles? So obviously this is being recorded before the Super Bowl happened.
Yeah.
So what's your prediction?
Eagles win.
I actually am predicting the Eagles win too. I really hope so. I can't stand the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, dude, Mahomes is so good.
Well, it's easy to be good
when you're protected by the
refs.
Yeah.
I mean, he runs the ball. He's a runner. You can take his head off. He's no longer protected.
I get it, dude. I get it.
I don't know.
I'm with you.
AFC
refs miss calls on every game. They do.
But it seems to be a lot more consistently missed on their
There
games.
should be like a congressional hearing on this, probably.
Probably.
Yeah, instead of talking to Kash Patel and all these other people. I don't know, dude.
Probably should be. Hey, so we've landed on a name change, Gary.
I know.
So
are you excited?
I am excited about it. So what happened is I was pretty big on one name that we had, and or one or two names we had. We put out a poll. We got a lot of responses in the poll, and pretty much most of the people that responded said we don't like any of those names.
Yeah.
Like your two names that you have.
But nobody else is doing this. So whatever.
What do you mean?
Doing what we do.
Right.
So you're taking it into account.
Okay. So I'm taking into account what people were telling us.
Yeah.
So we were kind of.
I just offended lots of people. But that's what I do.
No one does what we do. We're special. So yeah, we.
I love that picture.
It is a great picture, and we're gonna keep the picture with the name change.
Yeah.
We're just gonna change.
Oh, dude, I'm supposed to. That's on my
Yeah, you're supposed to be doing it. You're not. I give you one job.
One thing.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to change all the stuff here, but
not even you. I said get your ladies on it.
Yeah, I know.
I
do have ladies that are very talented.
Your wife and your girls, but anyway, so we put this out. We had two names that we were kind of sweet on. They got shut down, and we listened. We listened to the people because we are a podcast of the people,
right?
And so we went back to the drawing board. We started thinking about it again. And we have landed on a name.
Yep.
So in the next, hopefully, couple months here, that'll get rolled out. So
that's going to be better, dude.
It is going to be better. I think listen, low expectations. It's tongue in cheek. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's a play on your last name. I get it. It's a cool thing. It sounds cool. The problem is it literally has nothing to do with this podcast. If people see it, they're like, what is this podcast about?
It means it has zero meaning. Very little meaning.
Yeah. Other than other than someone reading, this podcast called Low Expectations, I'll avoid it.
And I probably I'm not expecting a whole lot from this.
Yeah, I'm not expecting a whole lot.
Which is true.
Well, but then you turn us on and our sound's pretty good. I keep being told that our sound's pretty good.
Dude, our cameras are high end.
People have been impressed with our little studio here, not impressed with our table. It's too close.
Yeah.
Too intimate,
yeah,
perhaps. But, it is what it is. So, the new name is going to be 2 Cops, 1 Call.
I love it.
So 2 Cops, 1 Call. And then the tagline is going to be praising good, crushing evil, chasing truth.
Yeah.
So,
chasing.
Yeah, chasing. that's
okay.
That's what we went with.
We went back and forth between chasing and pursuing.
Yeah. I have some people that like pursuing better, but you like chasing better. And I was like, you know what?
You're kind to me, dude.
I'm good with chasing, whatever.
Pursuing's good too. It's the same word.
Right. So yeah, 2 cops, 1 call. That's the podcast. We have 1 call in our profession. We have 1 call as believers of Jesus Christ. And so I think it just kind of goes hand in hand. So
I like it, dude.
I'm excited about it. So we'll get it rolled out here as soon as Gary's people get on the new, which could be months, people. We're announcing this, and we're probably gonna like do it in August.
Yeah, I mean, if someone out there has like,
don't put this on the people. You have a job.
I gotta get on it.
You have a job.
That's my bad.
I think we got to decide: do we want 2 cops, 1 call, like the number 2 and the number 1, or do we want it spelled out? I'll
have my people do both so we can look at it,
and we need to see what it looks like.
Yeah,
we need to see what it looks like. So.
Coming.
That's coming. It's coming, and more exciting stuff is coming with that. So I'm excited to get that out there.
What's your view on smelling salts?
I've never used them.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about them.
I've been kind of excited about them. I think I'm going to get us a bottle of it to bring on the show.
That'd be fun.
And we'll just take a hit of smelling salts like throughout the show.
Yeah. So I've never. Have you ever used them?
No, I've never used them. But like they come in bottles, like you can get the small ones, but like they come in bottles now and you just activate them with a little bit of water or whatever.
Okay.
And then you just like sniff the bottle.
And how long does it last?
I don't know, months, I think.
All right. So you just pop that thing open, take a hit?
And it's supposed to like jack you up and like wake you up and it'll probably fix my complexion. I think my complexion's terrible on this video podcast.
It's probably my fault with the lighting.
No, I think it's just the way that I've been made.
Well, you look a little red.
I'm always red, dude.
Do you have high blood pressure?
No.
Are you okay?
I think I'm okay. No, I don't have high blood pressure. I think it's my Irish heritage.
Okay.
Remember, I was told as a young child that I was almost 100% Native American.
Right.
And then my dad took the DNA test and we're like 100% like Northern European, like we're Irish. I was like,
yeah.
Why was this my entire life?
Well, he didn't know.
It wasn't his fault. He was told that same thing.
Yeah.
Dude, that's the thing about,
it's passed down. Yeah. Well, let's do the smelling salts. I'll try it.
Will you?
Yeah.
All right, dude, we'll do it. I'll get some. I got to get American made ones. I was looking on them on.
Yeah. Don't get me anything from China.
No.
It might kill us.
Well, it'd be more expensive now too with tariffs or whatever.
Yeah. What do you think about?
Oh my goodness!
What do you think about all these executive orders that Trump's doing? Good, bad?
I think they're good. I haven't been I don't pay attention a whole lot, but I don't hate what's happening, I guess.
Yeah. So
I love shutting down the border. Like, listen.
Yeah.
We gotta protect our own people.
We have to.
There's a priority of love. So like, I get it. We should love our neighbor.
Right.
But the priorities of love for a family are your own family. If you have the means to take care of them and you have more means by providence of God that you can take care of your neighbor, take care of your neighbor. You're not called to take care of someone in southern South Africa or Sudan that you've never met. You're not called to do that unless providentially you've been given those means to do so. So like, I get it. We should care for our neighbor. We should care for other countries, but the priorities of love are out of whack, or they have been out of whack for a long time.
Right. Well, and the idea of loving your neighbor does not necessarily mean you take care of them.
Right. If you're able to,
if you're able to do loving things for that person, but it doesn't. Love of neighbor doesn't supersede love of everyone else.
Correct. Like specifically your family.
Right.
Specifically, we're a nation. So like, it's not a one world. We're not one world. Like this whole idea that everybody's the same. There are nations, and that's the way that God designed it.
Right.
Right. That we are nations, and we have governing authorities over nations, over a group of people.
Right.
So if we're trying to make this one world thing, that we're all just one happy world and we're all human beings, which we are, but there's priorities in the way that God has designed the world. So we got to take care of our own nation first. Yeah. And if we have the means to help out those whose nations are failing them, whose leaders in their nation are failing them,
And people who actually need help.
Right.
You know, people that actually need help, who are actually
Listen,
seeking
we don't need
asylum.
We don't need a coloring book in Saudi Arabia about trans stuff.
Right.
And we're giving money to that. I don't know if that's the actual country, but like, why are we giving money for all of these weird things that don't affect our nation?
Right. Yeah, the primary role of government is to provide safety and protection for its citizens.
For its people.
For its people.
Yeah.
The primary role of a government is not to provide for people of other nations.
Yeah.
That's how every nation works. That's how you build a nation that is prosperous, is the government takes care of the people in that nation.
Right.
And when we welcome people completely unvetted into this country, when we encourage criminality to get into the country, and that is a detriment to our citizens.
And we don't know that they even like our country. They like the handouts. Right. But actually like our country, our culture, our way of life, our ideals in general. Like, we have these overarching views of freedom and liberty and pursuit of happiness.
Right.
And there's a lot of people that just come here, it seems, for the handouts.
Right.
Which is not a legitimate reason to come into a country.
Or it appears that some are coming to escape criminal action that's being taken against them in other countries. We have so many people in this country right now.
Now they're getting tossed. They're getting
that
tossed.
ICE is picking up, that are gang members, that are wanted for crimes in other countries. They're wanted for crimes in our country. And so, I'm with you when to say that it is unloving to not welcome everyone into our country you can't have it both ways. What you're saying then is that you do not love the people of your own country. Yeah. You do not care about them.
I'm slowly learning, and I don't know if this is true or not, but like, I've been diving into, like, I think this worldview has changed. I hate that term,
worldview.
But this changed after World War II. Okay, is my understanding. Okay. Is that, like, that's when the mentality changed from nations protecting and caring for nations to let's just be one happy world. Right. And we all live together. The problem is you have completely different cultures. And there are in reality better cultures, better lifestyles in certain nations. There are some that are worse, there are some that are better. Sure. Obviously mine is the Christian nation is better than any other nation because it's governed in a way that goes after God's truth, the truth. So like, so I don't know. So after World War II is when this changed, is my understanding.
Yeah. And it's also, it's wild to me too, to have people talk about how it's so loving to allow people to encourage people to break the law and to come into our country illegally, to set up things to make it more attractive to break the law and come into our country illegally. It's a crime. Yeah. And our government over the past 4 years and during the Biden presidency was encouraging people to break the law. Like, think about that. Our own government was encouraging people to break the law. They were putting things in place that encourage people to break the law to get in this country. They were assisting people in breaking the law. Right. They had an app that helped people break the law and come into this country illegally. And what a slap in the face to the people who have legitimately sought asylum in this great country.
Wanted to become Americans.
Want to become an American citizen. And went through the process.
I want to eat apple pie. I want to eat, you know what I mean? I want ribs. Like I want to celebrate the 4th of July. I want to be part of these people.
I want to learn about the history, and I want to go through the process to become a citizen and do it the right way, instead of just streaming into this country. And why is it loving to allow all the children that were victimized, all the women that were victimized as they crossed illegally into the country and were victimized by these wolves among them? How is that loving? How is it loving that we don't know where 300,000 children are? Yeah. How is that loving?
It's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
But yet, like, that is like drilled into you that if you are opposed to open borders, that you are an unloving person. Yeah. And it's such a lie.
I think we're going to see some wild stuff happen in Mexico here soon.
Yeah.
Like very soon.
Well, they're already putting hits out on ICE officers, on Border Patrol.
I mean, on our side, like going gonzo against some cartel people.
Oh.
The evildoers that are trying to.
Right.
I think you're going to see some stuff here in the next. Actually, probably the next 2 weeks.
They're going after some really, really bad people.
I love
some
it.
really bad.
That's
going
to be fun to talk about.
Yeah. So
yeah, I'm not paying attention that much. I think we're heading we're at least pumping the brakes in the direction that we were going as a nation.
Yeah.
And I hope we continue to better our nation.
Right.
Or become a nation once again, become Americans once again.
Isn't it crazy that we needed a president to issue an executive order that there's 2 sexes, a male and a female? I mean, did you ever
that men can't play in women's sports?
Right.
Yeah, that was super good.
Did you ever think you'd see a president doing executive orders like that? It's wild. And, so we like the executive orders because they tend to promote a more Judeo-Christian value system. So we like that. I think the thing that's disheartening to me is this is not how our government was originally set up, for a president to come in and just lay out executive orders.
I don't quite understand how that.
I don't understand how it can work. And it's not, because if and
it's like a reset every election.
4 years, depending who gets in office,
it's a reset.
There's a change. So, I don't understand. It's not sustainable. Yeah, because a lot of it gets fought in court. Right.
So then it takes 6-8 months, a year for the executive orders that were passed to either become concrete or to go away.
Right.
And in reality, like, Congress needs to get to work. Like, do your job.
Yeah.
Do your job.
Yeah. So anyways, it's some wild things coming down the pike. But all right, let's get into this Officer Brad Lunsford case. He was charged with.
Where's he from?
I'm getting there. He was charged with voluntary manslaughter. Calm down. So he was a Las Cruces police department officer, and that's in New Mexico. Okay. So this case happened back in August 2022, but he wasn't charged until December of 23. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
So, and the trial just started.
Oh,
the trial just started. So this came across my radar on social media, another podcast, Police Law News. I believe the gentleman that runs that is Daniel Carr. He does a great job breaking down body cam video. He used to be a police officer. I think he did nearly 20 years in Albuquerque, and I think he's an attorney now. So he's doing a really good job on YouTube, X, breaking down body cam videos and some of these cases. So between him, another podcast, the wife of this officer on social media, like, I started seeing these things. So I started looking into the case. And like I said, the trial just started only a little bit ago. It's happening right now as we're recording. And Officer Brad Lunsford, my understanding is he's looking at 6 to 10 years in prison.
What was the charge?
Voluntary manslaughter.
Voluntary
manslaughter. So before we get into it, I think it would be helpful to, once again, I know we've done this in the past with some of these cases, but to lay the standard, lay the foundation of use of force and what
are police officers allowed to do?
Yeah, what are police officers allowed to do? So this standard was set by the Supreme Court back in 1989.
Okay.
And it was a case called Graham versus Connor. And basically what came out of that case is that officers' use of force must be objectively reasonable based on the totality of circumstances known to the officer at the time the force is being used. So there's some very important things in there. Would another reasonable officer at the scene have made the same decision, or would have they been likely to make the same decision as the officer who used the force?
Right. And police officers hear this case every single legal update.
We talk about this case all the time in use of force. Graham versus Connor. And because it sets the standard. It's a reasonableness standard. And it's not reasonableness of a citizen. It's not reasonableness of what the suspect thinks. It's a reasonableness of an officer at the scene.
It's not even reasonableness hindsight.
Correct.
Right. So it's not even looking back at all of the things that you have and then making a decision. It's at the moment in time.
At the moment. Yeah. And the reason the court set the standard is to balance the rights that, they want to balance the rights between citizens and suspects with the split-second nature, the dynamic nature of police work and rapidly unfolding events and decisions that are being made.
Right.
So it's trying to strike a standard and give officers the ability to not be charged like this officer is being charged. Because it's a dynamic situation and their split-second decisions are being made. And the one person in these scenarios that can stop this, that can make it stop, is the suspect. The suspect actually holds the most power in these situations to end whatever action, end whatever force is being used against
in every use of force scenario.
Every single one.
That's exactly right.
The suspect holds the key to stopping the force.
They're the ones driving every single thing that happens.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's the standard. It's not reasonableness based on what Aunt Gertrude believes as she watches the 6 o'clock news. It's not standard of reasonableness based on what a pundit on TV says. It's a standard of reasonableness of an officer on the scene without hindsight bias, without what he knows in the moment or she knows in the moment.
Right.
All right. So that's the standard.
That's a Supreme Court case, right?
That's a Supreme Court case. So I'm first going to go into Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund because they are helping Officer Lunsford. They're one of the organizations that is helping Officer Lunsford. Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund, great organization. I follow them on a lot of social media platforms. This is what they have said about the case. You good?
Tell us.
Officer Brad Lunsford used deadly force to stop a violent felon who attempted to disarm another officer and did get that officer's taser, but he is now being prosecuted by a Soros-supported attorney general. Las Cruces, New Mexico police officer Brad Lunsford is a respected 11-year law enforcement veteran who previously served in the United States Army, serving 2 tours of duty in Iraq. So he has life experience. His life was radically changed on August 2nd, 2022. That was the day he attempted to arrest the suspect for shoplifting a beer from a convenience store. The suspect violently resisted arrest and even attempted to acquire another officer's firearm. When that failed, the suspect successfully disarmed the officer of his taser. If the suspect had been given an opportunity to turn the taser on the officers, he may have incapacitated them, then hurt or killed them with their own weapons. Forced to act, Officer Lunsford used deadly force to end the threat to himself and his partner. New Mexico Attorney General Raul Torres, a recipient of George Soros' support, charged Officer Lunsford with voluntary manslaughter. It didn't matter to Attorney General Torres that the suspect had acquired a taser capable of immediately disabling the arrested officers. He saw a political opportunity to go after the cop. That's all that mattered. So that's what the Legal Defense Fund said about the case. The other thing I'm going to read is from Police Law News. I have a couple highlighted here. He has a blog or whatever. He has an article titled "Officer Involved, Brad Lunsford Update, the Gaslighting of Police Officers." He wrote, on August 2nd, 2022, Las Cruces, New Mexico, police officer Brad Lunsford was involved in a fatal officer-involved shooting with a career criminal. I haven't verified the career criminal aspect. I don't know what the suspect's background was. The deadly use of force by Officer Lunsford was investigated internally by the Las Cruces Police Department and criminally by the Dona Ana, I don't know if I'm saying that right, County District Attorney's Office. It was determined that the actions of Officer Lunsford were within department policy, according to training, and in compliance with the law. Case was over. Officer Lunsford was back at work.
At the district attorney level, at the county level.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, this happened August 2nd, 2022.
Yep.
Over a year later, December of 23, Officer Lunsford was formally charged with voluntary manslaughter by the New Mexico Office of the Attorney General and Raul Torres.
Yep.
So that's unbelievable. He's cleared by his department. He's cleared by the district attorney's office. He's back at work. He's working over a year later.
The state level.
August 22nd to December 23rd. December of 2023, he's charged at
a year and 3 months.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's a synopsis as written by Police Law News, and then we'll add some things to it.
Okay.
Gas station employee called police to report that the suspect had shoplifted beer. Officer Lunsford contacted the suspect, who was still on scene in the vehicle. Suspect concealed his identity. Officer Lunsford gave suspect lawful order to exit vehicle, and suspect actively resisted. Officer Lunsford utilized empty hand tactics to overcome the active and unlawful resistance. Officer Lunsford, the suspect, and a second police officer fell to the ground during this active resistance, assault of resistance by the suspect. Second officer was on his back with the suspect lording over him, and Officer Lunsford was trying to gain control of the suspect from behind. While on the ground, the suspect grabbed the second officer's gun, but was unsuccessful. During the struggle, the second officer's taser fell to the ground, and the suspect grabbed for it and gained control of the weapon. Suspect initially grabbed the taser with his left hand, transferred it into his right hand. We'll talk about why that's important. And Officer Lunsford perceived an immediately deadly threat posed by the suspect's illegal possession of the weapon and fired one round to stop the threat into the back of his head. The suspect sustained a fatal gunshot wound. So, a couple facts that this synopsis didn't include was, or that I've learned. It sounds like, and I wasn't, were you able to find the full body cam of this? I couldn't find.
Almost full.
Almost full? You were? Okay. I couldn't find it.
Okay.
Thanks for sending it to me.
Sorry, dude. I thought you had it. I mean,
I didn't send it to you.
You're like, I'm doing a deep dive.
I did. I could not find like the full body cam video.
I mean, it's short.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's like short, like 1-2 minute clips of it, but I'm talking
that's all I've seen then. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I've seen.
All right. Yeah. I kind of wanted to see full body cam. Like officer gets the call. At one point he talks to the clerk about the theft. You know, there's a whole investigation going on here.
Okay.
So I kind of like to see that because you can learn a lot more. But allegedly at some point, and they're making a big deal out of the fact that, the suspect, he only stole one beer.
Yeah, let him go.
Let him go.
This is the world that we live in back then. I don't think that is the case anymore, thankfully.
It's changing. I think it's swinging back.
You can't steal beer from a store. You just can't. You can't. Like, that's not America.
Right.
It's not the country that we live in. It's not the nation that we live in. In other countries, maybe that's okay.
Right.
In America, it is not okay.
We should
and
not
I don't want that
accept
to change.
Right.
Right? I don't want that to change. We're a nation.
Country of laws and a nation of laws.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Don't steal a beer.
Yeah.
You're gonna be stopped by the police.
Right. And that's exactly what happened here. So they're conducting an investigation. During the course of this investigation, the suspect refuses or gives a name that they can't verify his identity, and they have reason to believe. I don't know what that reason is, again, because I haven't seen all the body cam, but they have reason to believe that he is not being truthful about his identity, which in a lot of states, as in PA, I don't know if it is in New Mexico, I imagine it is, that's illegal. That's a crime in and of itself.
Like false ID to law enforcement.
Yeah, if you're under investigation, you're required to provide your proper,
which
your
seems
correct
reasonable
biographical information. He was not doing this.
Right.
They also, want to talk about how he was a traveling nurse. The suspect was a traveling nurse.
Who cares?
This guy was straight, just thugged out. He's a passenger in a car. So
he's the front seat passenger.
He's a front seat passenger. He has no shirt on. When they
sunglasses on, so you can't see his eyes.
When they direct him out of the car, his pants are down below his butt cheeks. His underwear is sticking out. He's all thugged out. Like,
none of this stuff is criminal,
right? But it also shows that he's not wearing a suit and tie. He's not going. He's not
wearing his nursing uniform.
He's not wearing scrubs. Yeah. Like, he's not on his way to work.
Yeah.
Maybe he is a traveling nurse. I wouldn't want him anywhere near any of my. I mean,
he just stole a beer.
He stole a beer. He's in the car with people who are high. They had to Narcan the backseat passenger, which means that he was under the influence of drugs to the point where his life was in danger.
Right.
So they, And my understanding is that the suspect also, in this case, the suspect that died also had drugs on board.
Okay. He's a big fella. He was like 6'3", 6'4". He was pretty big. He looked muscular.
Built. Yeah, he was built like he was. It was going to be a fight. Like he was going
to. If he wanted to fight, he could fight.
It was going to be, and it was.
And obviously, yeah.
You know, so he's directed out of the car. So you have so many levels of resistance here. You have passive resistance. They direct him out of the car. He refuses. Right. He just doesn't move. You have verbal resistance because right away he's like, why? Why do I need to get out of the car? That's verbal resistance.
Right.
All right. Then you have active resistance because when they grab his arms to pull him out of the car, he's trying to pull back.
Right.
He's trying to pull back into the car. That's active resistance. And then it goes to assaultive resistance. Assaultive resistance is literally right below the threshold of deadly resistance, like a suspect who is wanting to kill or harm you
or cause serious bodily injury, right?
Serious
bodily injury.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So he's at assaultive resistance because now he's actually fighting with the police. My understanding is at some point when he was in the car, an officer observed him, or he had a pocket knife in his lap and he put it in his pocket before getting out of the car. So he's armed. He has a weapon on him already.
And he had like a water bottle. It looked like one of those heavy, like a Stanley or like a whatever other bottles are there now. It's like a decent sized heavy metal water bottle.
Right.
And a phone in his hand.
Yeah. And so once they get in, they're trying to get him into custody outside the car. It sounds like the second officer attempted to like take him to the ground and ended up underneath with
that officer's on his back.
Yes. And the suspect's on top of him.
Correct.
Like kind of
like parallel. Like so the officer's on his back and the suspect's on top.
Yeah. I also
on like all fours, like this.
On pavement.
On pavement, right. By the gas pumps.
Right. So my understanding is too that the officer who fell on the ground and was underneath also suffered a concussion.
Okay.
When he fell to the ground, when he got shoved to the ground, however he ended up again.
Tripped, fell. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
He had a concussion because there was some like questions about how did he get the taser and why wasn't the officer doing a better job protecting his weapons? Well, it sounds like he had a concussion.
Yeah, and I read that like the taser might have just fallen out of the holster.
Right.
Which
it can happen.
It happens. Yeah.
Right.
It's much harder for a firearm to fall out.
Yeah.
Because of the way the tasers are like holstered.
But while on the ground, he does a gun grab. The suspect does a gun grab. Okay. And then this taser falls out or is somehow taken from the officer on the ground. And the suspect moves that taser from his left hand to his right hand. And that's important too. And you can see that there's citizen video, and I'll probably put some stills from the citizen video up on and the body cam on this episode as we're talking about this. But you can see him manipulating the taser from his left hand to his right hand. 90% of people are right-handed. So that is extremely concerning to have a suspect move the taser from his left hand to right hand. He's not throwing the taser away.
First of all, why are you grabbing the taser? There's one reason you grab the taser.
Right.
To use it.
To use it.
Either as an impact weapon or to actually take the safety off and fire it. Use it.
Right. And so that's the only a reasonable person would believe that the suspect is going to use that as a weapon.
And he's actively resisting this entire time. So he's not saying, I'm giving up, I'm moving the taser from my left hand to my right hand. Like he's literally fighting two police officers.
He's not getting on the ground. He's not putting his hands behind his back. He is fighting two police officers. He has chosen to fight two police officers. My understanding too, in listening to some other podcasts and stuff, was that Officer Lunsford actually saw him trying to figure out how to manipulate the safety on the taser. In other words, to turn it on, to use it. Again, I haven't seen. I think a lot more will come out as the trial goes on. I believe Officer Lunsford actually going to take the stand. I believe I heard he's going to take the stand.
Okay.
So, and not to mention, you have 3 people in the car. You have a driver, you have a rear seat passenger, you have a suspect who is actively fighting you. This is an extremely dangerous situation. You need to get this subject into custody because now your back is to that car.
Right.
And you have unknowns in that car. You don't know if there's any weapons in that car. You don't know anything about anyone else in that car. We know the suspect was, it sounds like there were drugs on board. People in the car were on drugs, so people aren't in their right mind.
And this is stuff we don't know at the time. So I get all of that stuff. But again, if we take the Graham v. Connor, they're actively in a fight.
Correct.
So
with multiple people behind them who are
Correct.
friends with or acquaintances of the suspect who is fighting them.
That's right. A criminal. This is a criminal who stole a beer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And who maybe would have just got a citation.
He would have just got a citation unless he had priors, and then they might have to bring him in, but whatever.
Yeah, we're looking at a low level crime here.
Correct.
A crime nonetheless that needs to be investigated, but low level. Probably nothing that's going to keep him in jail.
It's a fine.
So why are you lying about who you are? Why are you not providing your proper identification? Why are you trying to circumvent and defeat the officers from doing their job? Do you have a warrant? Are you on probation? Is this going to put you back in? All these things the officers are trying to figure out. And then you get resistance that starts with passive, verbal, active, assaultive resistance.
And he went all the way up through.
Right. So the fact that he had the taser in his hand is a threat of great bodily harm and or death to the officers. For this reason, a taser can incapacitate you.
But Anthony, no one's ever died from a taser shot. So that's not a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
Right?
One of the experts,
what big giant air quotes,
yeah.
expert, yeah. A former chief of police.
Yeah. Basically made this statement that no one's ever died from a taser. Probably correct. I don't know that no officer has ever died from being tased, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's not the standard. The standard isn't, is the weapon in the suspect's hand, has that ever killed anyone in the past?
That's not the question, right?
The standard is, can that weapon incapacitate me, harm me to the point of serious bodily injury and or death? And the absolute answer is yes.
Yes.
The training across the entire country, the training across the entire world when it comes to tasers is that if a suspect has a taser, that is a deadly force situation.
Right.
Because you can be incapacitated for as long as that trigger on that taser is held down. It's not just 5 seconds.
Right.
It could be.
It's 5 seconds if you pull the trigger once and let go of it. It's 5 second ride.
Right.
Unless you turn it off.
And there are some tasers out there that are set to go off automatically even if you depress the trigger. As a taser instructor, I know that. But by and large, most of the tasers that are deployed by departments are set that if you hold that trigger down, it's going to keep cycling.
Right.
It's going to keep cycling. It's going to keep cycling. So you could be incapacitated for minutes.
Right.
You could be incapacitated for an hour. If you could, you could, depending on the battery life and if that trigger is depressed and held down.
Yeah.
And that's a problem because, then you are open to anything else being taken off your belt. You're open to your gun being taken off your belt. Not to mention a probe. Obviously the suspect he's not a cop. He doesn't care about where the probes from the taser go. He can tase you in the eye. He can tase you in the genitals. He can tase you at all the places where we're not supposed to tase.
Right.
He doesn't care. He doesn't have rules. We have rules and we have policies and we have procedures to follow.
And training.
So, the even if you're like, oh, the most that could happen is that you're tased and you're incapacitated. Well, what if you get hit in the eye? Well, now you lose an eye. Okay. What if he starts beating you over the head with it? Now you lose consciousness. There were 2 officers there. You know, if one officer gets tased,
and he was winning,
right?
Like in reality, he's winning this fight.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah, he's on top of one officer. The other officer's kind of on the side. Like they're losing the fight.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not this isn't a fair fight. This isn't a bar fight. These are two officers who are given authority by the government and all of the citizens that are part of society.
Right.
To be able to keep peace among the people.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like they're doing their job.
They were called by a victim of a crime.
Yeah. I get it. It's a silly crime. It is a silly crime. But you can't, just because it's a silly crime doesn't mean you can act like an absolute maniac.
Right.
You can't.
Right. Yeah. And you can't, the other thing about this case that people don't recognize either is just because a taser could incapacitate one officer, they're all tangled up. They're all together.
Right.
So if he fires that taser and one probe goes in one officer and one probe goes in the other officer, or the officers get tangled in that, they're all going to be affected by that platform, that taser.
Yeah.
They're all going to be affected. Both officers could be incapacitated, regardless of, you know, where those probes go. And it literally, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
You don't have to wait. You know, I saw one of the experts suggest that the taser was never pointed at him.
Right. Just because it's in his right hand doesn't matter.
Do we need to wait till a gun is pointed at us to use deadly force? Do we need to wait till someone like
actually shoots at us?
Do we need to wait till someone actually tries to stab us? Like, that's not the standard. And for these experts, these quote unquote experts to say and try to circumvent the standard, you're not an expert. You're a buffoon. You have no standing. You have no reason. You have no right to even be on the stand and spouting these views because they don't meet the Supreme Court standard.
Right.
What you're trying to say doesn't even meet the Supreme Court standard. What the Attorney General, Raul Torres, is saying doesn't meet the Supreme Court standard. You're trying to bring a case on nothing.
Yeah.
Because, and why? Like, what caused this? I mean, I don't know. We haven't even mentioned the race of the suspect, but the suspect was black. The officer was white. Did that drive it? Did the fact that Raul Torres is Soros funded, so he automatically hates the police, did that drive it? You know, did money drive it? Did Soros, you know, with all this money into these DAs, into these AGs, with the understanding like you're going to prosecute cops? Is that driving it? Like, what's driving it?
Right.
You know? And what's crazy too is Raul Torres, my understanding was he used to be the district attorney in for that covered Albuquerque, New Mexico, where Daniel Carr, the author of Police Law News, worked. And he never charged a police officer in a shooting in Albuquerque. And
which has had numerous shootings.
They've had numerous officer-involved shootings that were justified, that were legal, but that Daniel Carr even says were probably not as clear-cut as some of them were not as clear-cut as this.
This is a clear-cut justified shooting. Like, it
100%
is clear-cut.
Yeah.
The only thing that would make this better is if it wasn't a taser and it was a gun. That would be probably the only thing that would make this better. It's still clear-cut.
And I think too the outrage or the call to bring the charge, you know, if you watch the video, and I haven't been able to find the full Citizen video. They always cut it before the final shot. It's violent. It's a violent act.
He shoots him in the back of the head.
He shoots him in the back of the head. And so then the question is, well, couldn't he have shot him at a different place? Couldn't he have shot him? Well, he's looking at, what's my background? I have an officer right below.
I can't shoot him in the back because
what if it goes through?
It's going to go through him, right?
Right, and into the other officer.
It's a great tactically sound decision to make, in my opinion.
It's
the only shot that he has,
right?
In reality, because like I saw the suspect on top of the officer. There's no other place. You can't shoot him in the leg, and it's not
going to do anything. That's not going to stop the action. The whole point of deadly force being used by a police officer is to stop the threat.
Correct.
That is the whole point of it. Right. We don't shoot to kill the suspect. We don't shoot to disarm the suspect. We don't shoot to maim the suspect. We shoot to stop the threat.
Right.
And the fastest way to stop that threat was the shot he took with the fact that the officer was below him. You can't look at that and be like, well, he shot him in the back of the head, therefore it's wrong.
Right.
That's not the standard. And again, the standard is reasonableness. Was it reasonable for the officer to be in fear of serious bodily injury or death, have someone be in fear of someone else being seriously injured or killed? 100%. The guy, the suspect had a taser. All right. And it's completely justified. So every state, every agency, every academy that I know of is teaching this, that if a taser is introduced by a suspect, whether he gets your taser or he produces his own taser, that is a deadly force situation. This is being taught in trainings, in use of force trainings, in the academy, in scenario-based training.
Bro, Anthony, a bat, a hockey stick,
right?
A big giant water bottle,
right?
Those are deadly force situations.
And do we know, has anyone ever been killed? Has an officer ever been killed by a hockey stick?
Dude, I watched Jason Bourne, man. You can do a lot with a phone book.
Right.
Right? A plate.
Right. And just because there's no reported known report of an officer being killed.
Do you want to be the first one?
Weapon.
Do you want to be the first one,
right.
Anthony?
Exactly. You don't have to wait to see.
You don't.
Let's see how many whacks I can take.
Yeah. How many can I take? How many times can I get tased before he actually gets my gun?
Right.
Like this Officer Lunsford did a great job. Lunsford.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right.
He did a great job.
Yeah, I think
which is why he was cleared by his department, because he followed all of the policies, and he was also cleared by the county
right
investigating agency. That's exactly why, because he did a good job.
Yeah. And that's what's crazy too. Can you imagine you're cleared, you're back at work, and then a year and a half later, charges get dropped on you from the state?
Yeah.
I can't imagine. The trial, like I said, is going on right now. The last update I saw about the trial, I wanted to read. This is one of the experts.
So just so everybody's aware, experts get paid by whatever side they're testifying for.
Sure. And you can find an expert to say whatever you want them to say.
Yeah. And this expert might believe what he's saying, but that doesn't make him an expert.
This expert,
I can't wait to hear
this guy. So
who is this guy?
This was the retired chief,
okay.
Chet Epperson.
Boo.
I watched this guy testifying on the stand.
You did?
A little bit.
Yeah.
They had a clip of him testifying on the stand. Buffoon.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine working for this chief and having him think like this. He said he could have, talking about Officer Lunsford, he could have tried to stunt him. He could have struck him with his baton, his flashlight, his open hands, could have slapped him, could have kicked him, could have done all sorts of things, Epperson said. Epperson further testified that Lunsford and the other officer who was present at the time of the shooting should have had a plan in place before forcefully getting the suspect out of the car to detain him. Going hands-on with someone, it can be effective, but most of the time it's not, especially with the size of the suspect, who appears to be strong. He's got some weightlifting, etc. Chief, have you ever done police work?
He hasn't.
Have you ever dealt with someone who is not providing their identity to you and they're in a car?
Who's non-compliant.
You're going to direct them out of the car.
And you're going to put hands on them.
Yeah, I've never dealt with someone in a car who's lying to me about who they are, who I've just allowed to sit in the car. Because the problem is, at that moment, you believe that person there's a reason why that person is lying. Most likely they're wanted, or they're on probation, something like that, and they don't want to go back to jail. So if you have someone like that in a car, you're going to direct them out of the car. One of the reasons you're going to direct them out of the car is you're getting a level of resistance. And because you're getting a level of resistance, that person needs to be removed from the car, patted down for weapons, made to get out of their comfort zone. When you pat them down for weapons, a lot of times you're going to feel a wallet, and you're going to be able to have a conversation with that person about, I see and feel you have a wallet on you. Please hand it to me. If they don't want to hand it to you and you have a reason to arrest them and they don't want to provide identity, you're going to arrest them.
Right.
They're going to get arrested and be taken before a judge.
Right.
They're not leaving. They're not free to leave.
Right.
So for you to say there should have been a plan, that was the plan.
Yeah, they did the plan.
The plan.
Get out of the car.
Yeah, and I don't need to go, if I've worked with another officer, regardless of how long I've worked with the officer, he or she is going to either know I'm going to get him out of the car, or I'm going to look at him and be like, we're going to direct him out of the car. That's the plan. You don't need an op plan.
Right.
You don't need to
right.
sit.
Hey, hold on there. I know you're not telling me anything. Let me discuss this plan with my partner here. Let me figure out what's going to happen here next, and then we'll deal with you.
Right.
What are you going to walk away and come up with a plan?
Chief, you have the luxury of sitting and watching all the video, looking at all the statements, and sitting in your chair and then sitting on the stand and pooping on these cops and saying they should have had a plan. They should have had a plan.
Yeah.
They did have a plan. The plan was to investigate the crime of theft,
which they were actively doing.
Yeah. The suspect in this case, he ruined the plan. He's the problem, not the officers. The officers aren't the problem. Yeah. And to the other thing that I find interesting too about this chief, who obviously has no understanding of use of force, is they should have used this, or they could have done this, or they could have done this. That's every use of force. You can look at every single use of force and be like, did you think about doing this? The officer could have done this.
Which you actually should do.
You should do. You should look at every use of force I'm ever involved in. I always look at it and been like, what could have I done differently?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean what was done
was
wrong.
Yeah.
Or criminal.
Right.
Or unreasonable. Okay. And I would say, the other thing about use of force, and anyone who's taught use of force, understands use of force, has operated using force. Chief, have you ever used force? Is that we're not required as the police to match level of force.
Right.
The standard is we jump a level higher because we're ending it. We're not in a event fighting each other. Like, this is not like, okay, you're going to start punching me. All right, I'm going to start punching you, and we're going to have this fight. There's no fair fighting in police work.
Right.
We jump a level up and we end it. You, the suspect, want to fight with us. We're going to end it.
Right.
It's going to be over. We're going to take it one level higher. So if a suspect has a taser, you don't match it with a baton. That's matching the force.
Right.
You don't hit, you don't punch.
Or you don't pepper spray them.
You don't pepper spray.
Now you're coming down.
Now you're coming down the level of force you're using. And you're also risking getting yourself contaminated.
Even him saying slapping, kicking, all of that is lower.
Right.
Than this guy being armed with a taser. It's all lower.
And so now, okay, so you want him to kick. You want him to use hard, empty hand control techniques. You want him to kick. So what's he have to do to kick? He has to disengage. He has to get distance so he can kick. Well, now you're giving that suspect even more time to manipulate that taser.
Who's on top of another officer.
Yes. The chief, shame on you.
Boo.
It's boo. It is.
If I was the defense, I would have tried to get all of his use of force reports that he's ever completed if he was an actual police officer.
Right.
Just because you're a chief doesn't mean necessarily that you were a police officer. I would get every single use of force report, and I would tear up every single one of them.
It's disgusting to me.
But he was probably one of those officers who never did anything.
Yeah.
But
we shouldn't say that. We don't know.
Whatever, dude.
But you can't just.
Either way, money got to him or something got to him. Like, you can't say these things and say that I'm an expert. Like, you are not an expert.
You have no idea what you're talking about.
You know nothing.
Right.
You know nothing.
If I was defense attorney for the police officer, that I would have cross-examined and said, Chief, can you explain Graham versus Connor for the court? And the standard that sets for use of force.
Yeah.
That's what I asked. And he'd probably be like, Graham versus Connor.
I don't even know what that is.
I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy's terrible.
So Officer Lunsford, we are hoping and praying, is found not guilty. We'll continue to follow the case. I get pumped to do. It's such a tragedy. These This officer went to work, engaged with a suspect who committed a crime, did his job, cleared criminally and by his police department, is back at work and gets charges dropped on him by the state attorney general's office because Soros funded and whatever agenda they have. Yeah. And it's
brutal.
It's sickening.
It's very sickening.
So we'll keep an eye.
If we don't have people like this officer, society would be a mess.
Yeah. And I get it. It's brutal. You know,
it's a violent act.
It's
dude.
a violent act.
This guy went in airplane mode.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yep.
He killed him.
He killed him immediately.
Yep.
But he stopped the threat immediately.
He stopped the threat. He did exactly what he should have done.
Right.
Yep.
He did exactly what he should have done. And the officer, you know, based on everything he knew at the time, everything he was experiencing at the time, 100% justified.
It drives me nuts that people want to Monday morning quarterback this. I get it. He could have done 100 other things. He could have continued to fight. He'd just give it more time. He could have done this. He could have done that. That doesn't mean anything. I get it. It's ugly.
Right.
To watch another human being be put down.
Right.
Is brutal. It's brutal. But that person who was put down drove that entire incident. All those officers wanted was his name so they could give him a citation and move on. Right. Or arrest him because he's on probation or he's got 17 other minor thefts that the law says he needs to go in front of a judge. Right? He drove everything. He has all the responsibilities on him.
Yep.
What happened to him was his fault. Yeah. It was his fault.
It was a suspect's fault. And we need officers who are capable of unspeakable violence.
Yeah.
That is one thing. We're not comfortable with it as a culture. We think we're comfortable with violence. We'll watch super violent movies. But when it's a person of authority using violence in real life and we see it, we are uncomfortable with it, as we should be.
Yep.
But we need officers to be capable of unspeakable violence, not to be violent people, but capable of unspeakable violence. And if you're a police officer and you're watching that, you're like, I could never do that. Go find another job.
Find a different job.
Find another job.
It's okay.
It's fine.
It's okay.
Just go get another job.
It takes a special person to be able to do that.
But you need to be able to look yourself in the mirror and check your heart and your soul and your spirit, and be willing to understand why Officer Lunsford took that shot, and be willing to understand that you can take that shot. And if you can't take that shot, if you can't do that, go find something else to do.
It's okay.
It's okay.
We can still be friends.
We need officers who are capable of that level of violence. It's not, the majority of officers will never have to be that level of violence. Will never have to use that level of violence. But there are many officers who have been called on to use that level of violence. And it's a different mindset, and you need the mindset to be able to do it. Regardless of what happened to Officer Lunsford, you need to be able to go out there. You and I need to be able to go out there every single day and realize that if we're met with the same level of resistance and we have the same thing happening, I'm taking the same shot. I'm ending that threat, and I'll deal with it on the back end. And it's a shame that these officers are being taught to do that. Mm-hmm. And then these attorney generals and these DAs who love evil, do not love good, love evil, are charging them. But, that's where, I, as a police officer who's still, pushing a car on the street, if you're listening to this and you're still doing that, you still need to go out and do it. We can't give up. We can't stop and be like, well, I'm not going to do anything. No, if faced with the same type of threat, I'm doing what I got to do. I'm going home to my family, and I'm not going to.
I'm not going to let my partner get.
I'm not going to let myself or anyone else hurt, killed. I'm going to do my job, and I have to be okay with it.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
But instead, everyone wants to defund the police.
Defund the police and charge a veteran,
right?
A war veteran, and
2 tours,
and a police officer veteran. 11 years is a long time.
Yeah,
it's a big department.
I don't want to defund the police. I want to defund
Punxsutawney Phil.
So Punxsutawney Phil. Okay, so if you're not from PA, you may not know who Punxsutawney Phil is.
Everybody knows. Don't they put it on national news?
Yeah, it's put out there nationally now. So every year in February, they have this groundhog, Punxsutawney.
Fat, chunky groundhog. A real one, like a real animal.
Yeah. And it's in Punxsutawney, PA. It's about 80 miles northeast of Pittsburgh. Okay. Groundhogs known as Phil. Every groundhog they have is Phil. They've had multiple groundhogs because this has been going on since 1887.
That's awesome.
140
I love
years.
that. I love the tradition. Like
140 years. So the idea is they have this big event. Now it's huge. Like 30 to 40,000 people show up in this tiny little town for this event.
Yeah, it's not a big town, right? It's super small.
Yeah, it's broadcast on television.
And is it every day? Like the exact, what date is it? Do you know?
I don't know.
Is it the same date every year?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So it's the same date every year. But the idea is if Punxsutawney Phil, the groundhog, is removed from his tree lair and he sees his shadow, that means 6 more weeks of winter.
Okay.
Okay.
So if the sun's out, he sees
his shadow.
Right.
Okay. Doing this for nearly 140 years since 1887. I fact checked Punxsutawney Phil.
Oh, yeah. The
good.
Good.
How many times, what percentage of the time has he been right?
So for how many years?
140 years. Percentage of the time that Punxsutawney Phil has called it correctly.
I'm going to
either
say
6 more weeks of winter or early spring.
I'm going to say he's right a quarter of the time.
He's right more than that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
39% of the time.
That's not
since
bad.
They started tracking. 39% of the time. He's been right 39% of the time. Defund him. Get rid of him.
Yeah, he's terrible.
Yeah.
So literally, if it's a sunny day out,
he's going to see a shadow.
He sees the shadow. Does he even notice his shaw? Like, I don't think animals notice their shadows.
Well, all I know is that
So if it's sunny out and they pull this groundhog out of his lair, then we have 6 more weeks of winter. If it's cloudy out, we have an early spring.
Well, PETA is outraged.
They were mad.
PETA's mad.
Yeah. Why?
Save Punxsutawney Phil. It's rude.
To pick him up.
He's hibernating. He's in his hibernating stage. And you're like pulling him out and waking him up. You're messing with his mind. You're messing with his soul. You're messing with his spirit. You know?
Okay.
So
PETA got real mad.
PETA got mad and they sent a letter.
I love it, dude.
They sent a letter to Punxsutawney, the people in charge. And what I love is, so our governor, Josh Shapiro, he's a Democrat, but even Democrats can make good decisions sometimes. And Josh Shapiro,
that's super funny.
Josh Shapiro basically told PETA. So this was PETA's idea. He's like, basically Josh Shapiro is like, come and take him. Come and take him.
Dude, I like that.
You know,
that's kind of aggressive.
Yeah, like we're not getting rid of Punxsutawney Phil.
Okay.
But PETA wanted to replace Punxsutawney Phil with a vegan cake, a vegan weather reveal cake.
A cake. All right.
You can't make this stuff up. So they wanted.
At least they had an idea.
They wanted to replace it with a vegan cake. Yeah. So they observed a problem. So instead of just complaining about it, they said, "Here's a solution. We'll send you a vegan cake." They wanted to replace it with a sweet new offer that doesn't exploit the furry woodchuck.
The furry woodchuck.
So they wanted to send a vegan cake that I guess if you cut it open and it was blue, it meant winter. If it was like green, it meant spring. I don't know.
Yeah, but the baker knows.
Well, the baker knows, and then you got these like press. They're like vultures. It would probably get leaked.
Oh, yeah.
It would get leaked.
Yeah, you got to pull that groundhog out.
I wonder. Yeah, but Josh was like, "Well, come and get him," like dared him. You guys come.
Dude, way to go, Governor Shapiro. I like that.
Yeah,
a lot.
I do like that a lot.
Yeah.
Let me pull up this letter real quick from PETA. And I wish I would have highlighted a couple places in here because it's so. It's so funny. PETA, whose motto reads in part that animals are not ours to use for entertainment.
Actually, they are, but okay. Actually, animals are for our entertainment.
So they wrote this letter, and throughout it, they were like, using show Phil a slice of decency. He tried to be all like cutesy,
Okay.
show him a slice of decency with a cake.
Oh, yeah.
You better believe that for Phil, Groundhog Day is no piece of cake. Yes, it is. He's a groundhog. He doesn't even know what's going on.
He probably gets food. Like they probably pull him out with food.
He's a fatty too.
Oh, yeah. I don't like groundhogs, dude.
They're rodents.
Yeah, I don't mind groundhogs as long as they stay out in the fields. Like, don't come under my porch. Dude, I had some battles with some groundhogs.
Oh, yeah.
I battled some groundhogs.
Have you blown any up?
You
better not.
I battled some groundhogs.
You gotta be careful what you say here.
I don't have a problem with groundhogs. Just stay away. Don't go underneath my porch.
Right. All right. So the last paragraph here from PETA. We're not going to sugarcoat it. Sugarcoat it?
Oh, man. That's so...
It's high time for Punxsutawney to rise. Get it? Rise.
Oh, yeah. Like a cake.
All these words to the occasion and follow the example of kind communities like the village of Babylon, New York, which has a willing human prognosticator in costume to protect, not exploit our fellow animals. I have no idea what that means.
That's super
I should have looked into the village of Babylon and what craziness they're doing. But if you don't like this idea, the icing on the cake is that we have another offer. We'd be happy to send you a large thermometer for Gobbler's Knob. That's the name of the place where they pull Punxsutawney Phil out. Instead, that reads, if it's still cold, it's still winter, which would aptly represent the absurdity of the current form of this tired old spectacle. We look forward to hearing from you as always.
And he said, come and get him.
Josh Shapiro said, come and get him.
I love it. Way to go, Governor Shapiro.
I'm sorry.
Are you going to... Oh, my.
I can't laugh. I start laughing.
Dude,
I
it's
start
so
coughing.
funny.
But listen, can you imagine if the PETA Brigade, you can just imagine a bunch of people with like blue hair or whatever showing up to take Punxsutawney Phil out of Gobbler's Knob. Dude, Punxsutawney Phil would destroy them.
Dude,
he would scratch the crap out of them.
Oh, yeah.
He'd gnaw on them. They'd be missing ears and noses. They'd leave with their tail.
They'd probably perform acts of violence on that thing when they're getting attacked.
Yeah, they would, and we'd have to break it down here on this podcast. But PETA, come and get him.
So we have 6 more weeks of winter.
He saw his shadow. So we have 6 more weeks of winter. But it's also a
40% chance,
a 59% chance that he's
wrong.
So
hopefully he's wrong. I like spring, dude.
What am I saying? No, a 61% chance that he's wrong.
61% chance.
He's 39% of the time he's right. So 61% of the time he's wrong.
Okay.
Yeah. Dude, we're terrible.
Dude, good math. Good math. I love it, dude.
So Punxsutawney Phil, we're cheering for you. I personally want to defund you. You're wrong most of the time, but whatever.
Yeah.
So
groundhog.
With that, 6 more weeks of winter. I sure hope not, but it's not good for my shaved head. Today, did you notice I threw a hat on?
Yeah, you probably didn't shave.
I didn't shave my head,
dude,
so it looked a little rough. I was like,
5 o'clock shadow on your head.
Yeah, more than a 5 o'clock.
Ooh, not ideal.
So I gotta get a fresh shave.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Good stuff, dude.
All right, peace. That's
leave your comments.
Oh yeah,
up your game, dude.
Do it.
Up your game on the comments. Like, say funny things, say mean things, say anything. Like, subscribe. You can watch us on YouTube
and Spotify.
Yeah.
And if you're a patron, you can watch us on the Podbean app.
Yeah, become a patron.
Yeah.
We got to do something for the patrons soon.
Yeah, we do. We need to do an episode for them, a special patron-only episode. I was thinking about it. Maybe when the name change is official and we have the new.
We'll do like a reveal.
We'll do a reveal.
Okay.
Not much of a reveal. We're keeping the same photo. We're just changing the name. We'll put it up there.
Dude, it's such a great photo. Your beard is so good in that picture, dude.
I wish I had a beard like that all the time.
It looks so good.
I'm ready. I've checked myself. I'm ready to stop the threat. I will put it that way.
Yeah.
Picture. And you're ready to get my back. You're like,
yeah.
Anthony is zeroed in. He has tunnel vision.
Yep.
He's not paying attention.
I'm looking for the other threats.
You got the other threat. You're like, I'm just standing here. I look calm.
Yeah. Trigger control.
But I will kill you.
All right, dude.